Hello everybody, it's Tarun. Welcome to your 22nd tutorial in the CSS for presentation course. In this tutorial, I'll start the next unit, which is transitions, transforms and animation. So we have seen CSS used for visual effects like rounded corners, color gradients and drop shadows that previously had to be created with graphics. In this unit, we'll look at some CSS3 properties for producing animated interactive effects that were previously possible only with Flash or JavaScript. We'll start with CSS transitions, which is a nifty way to make style changes fade smoothly from one to another. Then we'll discuss CSS transforms for repositioning, scaling, rotating and skewing elements and look at how you can animate them with transitions. So I'll close out this unit with brief introductions to 3D transforms and CSS animation, which are important to know about but are too vast a topic to cover in this course. So I'll just give you a taste of them. And the problem with this unit is that animation and time-based effects do not work so well. So I'll not be able to show them right away. Okay. And now I'll tell you what I'll cover in this unit. I'll cover creating smooth transitions, moving, rotating and scaling elements, combining transitions and transforms, a few words about 3D transforms. Okay, so let's start with CSS transitions. Picture in your mind, if you will, a link in a navigation menu that changes from blue to red when the mouse hovers it. The background is blue, mouse passes over it, bam, red. Okay, it goes from state to state instantly, with no states in between. Now imagine putting your mouse over the link and the background gradually changes from blue to red. Passing through several shades of purple on the way, it's smooth. And when you remove the mouse, it fades back down to the blue again. So that is what CSS transitions do. They smooth out otherwise abrupt changes from state to state over time by filling the frames in between. Animators call that tweening. When used subtly and with reserve, they can add sophistication and polish to your interface and make them more pleasing to use. CSS transitions were originally developed by the WebKit team for the Safari browser, but they are now a working draft at the W3C. As of this tutorial, the set of transition properties are still pretty cutting edge and specification is likely to change. So all browsers that support them require their respective browser prefixes. They have good support on iOS, Android and Opera mobile browsers as well. The only browser versions that do not support transitions at all are Internet Explorer 9 and earlier, Firefox 3.6 and earlier, and Opera 10.1 and earlier. But if you use transitions for progressive enhancements, it should not matter too much that users of those browsers won't see the effects. For those folks, snapping directly from blue to red is not a big deal. Okay, so we'll now see transition basics. Transitions are a lot of fun, so let's give them a whirl. When applying a transition, there are a few decisions to make, each of which is set with the CSS properties. First is which CSS property to change, okay, which we can do with the help of transition property. How long it should take, then we can do it with the help of transition duration. The manner in which the transition accelerates, which is transition timing function. Whether there should be a pause before it starts, it is called transition delay. You also need something to trigger the transition. A state change such as hover, focus or active makes a good trigger, and that's what we'll be using for the examples in this unit. You could also use JavaScript to change the element and use that as a transition trigger as well. So let's put that all together in a simple example. Okay, here is that blue to red link you imagined earlier. Okay, there is nothing special about the markup. I am just going to create a link. Okay, so let me just create the link. So as you can see here, I have created a link, awesome sauce. So let me show you the link now. So you can see it is showing me the link. Okay, and now I'll put the style to it. Okay, so the transition properties are applied to the anchor element in its normal state. You'll see them in the set of other declaration for a.smooth. Okay, you can see here like padding, background color. This allows them to be reused for other state changes in the document. I've changed the background color of the link to red by declaring the background color for the hover state and focus to in case someone is tabbing through links on a keyboard. Okay, so now let's save it and see what happens. Okay, so here you can see that it is not just going from blue to red. In between there is a color also, okay, which is, you can say, purple shade. Okay, so when I create this link, click this link, you can see that it goes back to blue, and when I hover over it, it becomes red. Okay, so now I'll specify the properties which I have used here. So first of all, I'll talk about the transition property. So this is the transition property. The values are name, property name, all and none. The default value is all, and it is applied to all the elements, but before and after pseudo elements. Okay. So the transition property identifies the CSS property that we want to transition smoothly. In an example, it's the background color. You can also change the foreground color, borders, dimensions, font and text related attributes, and many more. So the complete list is there, which I'll just now give you. So let me give you the complete list. Okay, these are the animatable CSS properties. So there are a few more, I'll give you them also. So as you can see here, there are many properties for transition property that you can use in the animatable property. Okay, so I think that you can just stop the video here and note them down, or in the way which you like. Okay, so the next property is that how long should it take, which is transition duration. So I'll just give you the values for that property now. The values are time only. The default value is 0 second, and it is applied to all the elements before and after pseudo elements. Okay. Transition duration sets the amount of time it will take for animation to complete in seconds or milliseconds. For millisecond you can use ms. For in the earlier example I used 0.3 seconds, which is just enough to notice something happened, but not so long that transition feels sluggish or slows the user down. There is no correct duration, of course, but in my opinion, I found out that 0.2 seems to be a popular transition for UI elements. Experiment to find the duration that makes sense for your application. Okay, so the next topic which we'll do is timing function, and the first property here is transition timing function. So I'll show you the values for this property now. The values are ease, linear, ease in, ease out, out, step start, step end, and steps. Okay, and cubic bezier also, where hash 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 you need to provide 4 values. The default value is is, and it applies to all the elements before and after pseudo elements. The property and the duration form the foundation of a transition, but you can refine it further. There are a number of ways a transition can roll out over time. For example, it could start out fast and then slow down, start out slow and speed up, or it could stay the same speed all the way through. Just to name a few, I think of it as a transition style, but in the specification it is known as timing function. I can set that transition timing function to ease in out to make the link change from blue to red more gently. To be honest, at very short durations, the differences are barely noticeable. Okay, so now if I add the transition timing function property here, okay, transition timing function, and I'll set the value to ease in out. Okay, so now let's see what happens. Okay, there is nothing so much noticeable. Okay, but you can see that it somewhat goes more gently than earlier. So the transition timing function property takes one of the following keyword values: is. Okay, so what I'm trying to say that I'll just now explain all the values for this property now. First of all, is starts slowly, accelerates quickly, and then slows down at the end. This is the default value and works just fine for the most short transitions. Then we have linear. Speed stays consistent from the transitions beginning to end. Then we have ease in, starts slowly and then speed up. Then we have ease out, starts out fast and slows down. Then we have ease in out, starts slowly, speeds up and then slow down again at the very end. It is similar to ease but with less pronounced acceleration in the middle. Then we have cubic bezier. This is a function for defining a Bezier curve that describes the transition acceleration. It's a super math thing and I cannot explain it all here. You can read how to do it in the specification in the link which I am going to provide you. So I'll just provide you the link now. Just a second. Okay. So this is the link which I was talking about. Here you can find out all about the cubic Bezier property. Then we have steps. Okay, it divides the transition into a number of steps as defined by a stepping function. The first value is the number of steps, and the start and the end keyword defines whether the change in state happens at the beginning or end of each step. Then we have step start. This changes states in one step at the beginning of the duration time. The result is a sudden state change, the same as if no transition has been applied at all. Then we have step end. This changes state in one step at the end of duration time. Okay, I cannot demonstrate the various options on the page which I have told you till now, but I have put together a little demo which I will show you in a figure. The width of each labeled element, okay, white with an orange border, transitions over the course of 4 seconds. When you hover over the blue box, they all arrive at full width capacity, full width at exactly the same time, but they get there in different manners. Okay, so I'll just show you the figure now. So this is the figure which I was talking about. Okay. So this was all from my side in this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I will start with the delay properties and start with the delaying, setting a delay. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial.